Like I said, I've actually already seen this video, but I'm going to RP IRL and pretend I haven't.
Casey's doing a massive CG meeting about structure and action of the gang. Do you think that's something a man should do? Yeah, I know there's like a lot of different discussion points about like RP in general right now, like whether it's my RP or people's RP or whatever. So I saw the Abdul clip about like saying that Tommy T on me has fallen out of love with RP, which is kind of true in a way. Like there's many different factors for that, which I could obviously delve into and deep dive. And again, it can be like Tommy T has achieved everything, so what does Tommy T chase now? Which is true.
This is the point that I was making to the boys yesterday, right? We had a little bit of a chat about it. I think the main reason that, like, there's no strive for anything because we've got everything. You know, back in the day when we was in Roadman, we wanted the cars, we wanted the money, we wanted the houses, we wanted the respect as a gang, we wanted the come up. And we kind of got it all, you know what I mean? I know some of us are still broke, but that's because we get our cars impounded 3 times a week, you know what I mean? But, like, we have achieved all of that. So it's quite difficult to find motivation to do these things. And I know people are going to say, well, just go an RP, but, like, I don't know. It's kind of like you need, or for a lot of us, I think we need something to drive us to do it, you know?
What does he chase? There's that, like, and I think a lot of things that drove RP within the gang before, a lot of conflicts and a lot of struggles, and that drives a lot of RP in general. Like, you have storylines from struggles and conflicts and like fighting for power. Now the gang's pretty like neutralized in the sense of like everyone's happy and no one's really fighting for position. Maybe you have like the maybe you have like the MDMA stuff, right, where people haven't got their chains and stuff, which kind of like falls on deaf ears because ultimately they kind of know they're part of the gang essentially anyway, because the way that the Discord is, the way that like everyone is with them, there's not really like a discrepancy between you're not a chain wearer and you are a chain wearer. A lot of the chain kind of like thing is like, we want something good to happen, have a good content plan around it. And I always said, well, if you want to make one, I'll just turn up and do it. And I had ideas, but it's hard, isn't it? So it'd be one of the things.
Any CSGO today? Not.
Really
I'm not 100% sure. Potentially.
So I'm not necessarily going to be able to create these arcs, and also I don't really want to make too many arcs because if I make them, I can't really add the other side to them. Like if I tell someone to, if I cause an arc with someone, I might not be there tomorrow to back it up in detail. So then they're kind of sat there in limbo. So it's kind of like a tough one on that front. See, a lot of my time does end up being like coming to. Oh, why have I gone this way? A lot of time does be like I've come to the city, chill out, do whatever, piss about with the boys. So and I did say like this year would be different for me for RP Rise, right? I said I couldn't do what I did last year because there's a lot of different priorities that have come through, like Sidemen stuff and like how we've been.
Jay been in limbo for a year now. Yeah, I mean,
and also at the same time,
like I say, I really, you know, I think a lot of people forget, and I wish, you know, this was out there for people to see. But you got to remember that before I started streaming, I had already done the whole gang member arc for 4 years. You know what I mean? I had already done RP for 4 years. So I'm already past the 5-year mark, going on 6-year mark. You know what I mean? I've done this shit and done all of it for a long time. I've done the come up a lot. You know what I mean? It's not like, it's very hard, right? And as T will say in a moment, it's very hard to do the same arc and not have the same outcome. So in a minute, he will say something along the lines of going broke and then starting again. But let's be honest, it's just what's going to happen again is we're going to follow the same footsteps. And I'm going to just be like, oh, it's just the same thing I did before, which is the truth. It's the same shit I've done multiple times. So it's not. It might be like fun for you guys as an RP viewer to see the struggle and the come up and stuff like that. But for me, I've already done it 5 times. I know exactly what's going to happen. It's not that exciting. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, it makes it a little bit more difficult. I think people forget that. People think like, oh, the boys have only been RPing for a year. They've only done 1 arc, which is, you know, but that's not the case. I mean, SK and Matt RP'd for years prior. You know what I mean? Me and obviously Saint with you, Dwayne, and you know a lot of other people on the service, Swizz and whatnot, fucking RP'd for 4 years with each other prior to Nopixel. So it's like, you know, Dean and Moose did it from a different server as well. Exactly. We've all been doing it for years and years and years. I think people forget that and just assume that we've only done it for a year. Like, but I know that the devil's advocate is, yeah, but look at Kevin and Summer CG. They've been RPing for 7 years and they're able to do fresh arcs and stuff every day. And I applaud them. I truly applaud them. I guess they have more drive and motivation than me. I'm not going to speak on behalf of the other boys because I'm sure they have their own reasons. But they clearly have more drive and motivation than me.
I won't dwell on it, but there are 3 very key people in Tommy T's rise and growth that aren't here anymore. And a lot of RP drivers are those 3 people around him. So it's like a touchy one there, you know?
Sticky one still.
I also had many different feelings about how I feel about everything that's gone on. But it's like I don't bother dwelling on them, you know, as we keep moving, keep it going. But as you'd imagine, when then those things happen, your mindset and approach to a lot of different things and people changes. You know what I mean? I'm trying. If you read between the lines, I'm trying not to say too much and cause any random dramas or anything, because I don't really give a shit, you know. Not what we're here to do, or not what we're here to create. That doesn't mean I'm not going to go like I'm not like for someone tries to twist it, because I know that people will try and do it.
Of course they will.
But I'm not trying to say, oh, I don't want to talk to random people and I don't do this thing. That's not what I'm saying at all. It just like it creates like a little bit of a.
I think, and not to put the blame on anyone else as well, but I think the server in general nowadays can be harder to RP on, and I mean that in a sense of like. A year ago, you could walk around the city and you would just find random people doing random ass things. Nowadays, you struggle to find people, bro. Like, you struggle to find people. Like, you go to fucking the apartment and there's no one there. Like, back in the day, there would be like 50 people there, all just chilling. You know, you go to the mechanic shops. There'll be 10 employees per mechanic shop. Nowadays, you have to go to 3 different mechanic shops just to get a repair. You go to Moldini's, there'd be 3 workers. You'd go to Shrugray, there'd be 3 workers. You'd go to fucking Burger Shop, there'd be 5 workers. You go down to the pier, there would be someone playing music and a bunch of randoms all listening to it. There'd be people manning the stalls. You know what I mean? It was an easy way to find people. Nowadays, you go to Moldini's, there's no one there. So you have to go to Shrugway, but there's also no one there. So then you go to fucking Burger Shop and there's no one there. So you have to stand outside apartments with a megaphone screaming for a burger before you pass out and die. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'd like to say, I appreciate that people are going to be like, yeah, but, you know, you can find people. You can, but it's not as easy. You know, it's not as easy as it was a year ago. I think... yeah, but like I say, it's a tough one, you know.
Accurate, maybe. Naturally in my head. I think I saw a clip of Coil after we interacted with him yesterday, and he did say like, I think we interacted with him, and he's like, oh, like maybe we need some more mechanic stuff that drives interactions, because that interaction wouldn't happen normally, because obviously we were boosting. That's why it happened. He said people in City aren't really RPing because there's not really anything to maneuver around, which is kind of true. there's not really much rhyme or reason. You have to create your own reason, but there's not many people to really go and create rhyme and reason with in locations, unless you really, really like source it. And obviously that people always naturally back up and say, that's a lazy attitude, which is what I would say also. Because there's always, in the city, there's always something you can do.
Yeah,
and no matter
I
how
agree.
big you say the city is, you can always make something in it.
For
And I
sure.
will stand by that
You
all the
create your
time,
own RP.
no matter where we get to in the city. But it does help you and help people who maybe don't have that mindset when there's other stuff around you to be able to like maneuver with.
So that's yeah. I to be honest, I completely forgot he said this bit. So it's basically what I just said. You know, using things like Dean's World for an example, that created so much RP because it had the music festival thing that a lot of people went down there. It had all of the stalls and stuff like that. So it is not, you know, I completely agree in a sense of like, if you want to RP, you have to make your own RP, and there's always something to do in the city, which is true. But nowadays, due to the lack of enabling factors, like I say, no one's ever at any of these food fucking places. No one's ever at any at the mechanics places. You know, people... Okay, before anyone goes, cringe racers, you know, no one races anymore. Which I know, obviously, as a whole, a lot of people looked at racing as a cringe thing. But when you had 30-plus racers, there's no denying that some of the RP that came from it can be a crease. You know what I mean? You go there, there's loads of people stood around to talk to. You know, half of them didn't talk, but the other half did. You know, there would be beef come from it because people's egos would get hurt, and then they would want to war someone because they lost a race. And, you know, it did create RP. It did, like, and that shit just doesn't happen anymore.
Also makes things more comfortable if, like, people who are new to RP and they have something to, like, interact with, like, if I was new today, I'd be very confused.
Also, it feels like there's less people on the server in general. There is. A year ago now, there'll be 250 people on the server. The server will be maxed out, and there'd be 100 people queue. Right now, when I joined the server, there was 70 people. 70. 70. 1/3 of the server was full. It's now 82. 82. Like... The server has 250 slots. It's 82 people. And a year ago, it would be maxed out. Plus 100 people in the queue. And I'd like to say, I don't think there's anyone to blame for that. Is it because of the new cop system? No, the server's just... People just aren't waking up and playing. Like, I don't think there's anyone to blame for that. You know what I mean? I don't think it's a server issue. I don't think it's got nothing to do with, you know, recent drama and whatnot. I don't think it's anyone's fault. I mean, there's always someone to blame, right? There is always someone to blame, but it's hard to blame one specific thing. It's hard to say, like, well, the reason this has happened is because everyone's been waiting for 4.0 for so long, or the reason this has happened is because there's so much drama and people don't want to be involved, or because there's no mechanics, or whatever. You know what I mean? It's easy to blame, but it's also at the same time, it's all of the factors combining that makes it happen, you know? For every cop that wakes up, 15 slots open is the new system. Yeah, but it's been like this for months before the new system. Like, this isn't a new thing, you know what I mean? This has been like this for a long, long time.
But anyway, back on our conversation and the whole like Abdul thing, right? So I did say to the boys, I really want to have like a think about what we can do, things we can do. Because obviously I want to make content stuff, like as always, like we said. I want to brainstorm, think of content things, actually do them. But I also need to like I feel like there's some arcs that I can do or want to do, but I don't know. It has to be feasible, realistic, makes sense. Because obviously we said like it'd be great to like it would be great to go poor, right? And I said it before, but I also don't. But I don't think it will work. It's not genuine. It's like
this is what I was talking about earlier. Yeah, because it would just feel like a repeat. It would just.
I go poor. Are we going to go back to doing a fleeker and a polito to get our money up? Are we going to go down to the basics? Like, what would be the reasoning? Like, do the exact same thing we did to come up?
Yeah.
I think we'll all be there like, yeah, this is a bit dead actually.
And that's why I'm as much, and I'm happy to do it. You know, if the boys want to go down the route of doing the blue cage stuff, doing the weed stuff, doing the meth stuff, I'm 100% involved. But my concern is that 3 days of it will pass and there'll be no motivation to do it because the outcome won't be, what's the best way to say this? What's the reasoning for it? So, and when I say that, I mean the reason that we pushed the meth and the weed and stuff like that before was for 3 reasons. Satisfying? I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't say it was satisfying. Maybe as a viewer, but as the person doing it, not particularly. Because you've got to remember that the reason we did it is because we wanted to build the rep up. We wanted to build our rep up, our personal, on the street, you know, street cred, whatever you want to call it. We wanted to make money, right? We wanted to push that low-level gangster arc, right? We had reasonings to doing it. Now, I've got $1 million in the bank. I've got, 3 million cars. I've got a house. Let's go push a $120 bag of weed. I'm going to do it 3 times. The cops aren't going to show up. You know what I mean? It's not going to be, it's not going to be as rewarding, and it's going to feel recycled. Yeah, exactly. It's going to feel like I've already done this. You know what I mean? So I'm 100% down because doing it with the boys, we can have fun. You know what it's like. You know, you can have a crease doing anything when you do it with the boys. I'm just concerned that myself included and the boys will get burnt out on it pretty quickly. HNO destroyed the economy? No, the economy was destroyed a long time before HNO.
I think I might do Riddle Master stuff.
Won't the same as apply for 4.0? No, because there'll be a reasoning before it though. Those reasons that I just gave, I need the money. I want to build my rep up, my actual mechanics rep. I want to build my actual rep up in character. People want to get to know me. You know, they want to be known as the guys that push weed. You know what I mean? It's a low-level street crime if we go down the route of becoming gangsters again. You know what I mean? It makes sense to do it. It'll probably have to be all new mechanics. It will be, you know what I mean? I appreciate that it will still be recycled content, but it will be a little bit more refreshing. Well, a lot more refreshing because there's reasoning behind it. You know? People do things for reasons. If there's no reason to do something, that's when you get bored. You know what I mean? That's when you don't enjoy it. If you're just doing something just cause, with no real reason, yeah, just doing it, mate. Yeah. You know, that's when you want to fucking just swallow all the weed, yeah, and just go home, mate.
Riddle thing, no? That'd be cool. So I spoke to Sincere about getting maybe some placeables. Remember the little placeables? DW used to put them down. Like, they'd be like a statue and you can actually collect it. So I want to get those. So I've found some 3D models that you can just make into those, hopefully. And that'd be like the final point that you find. But what I also need to get, which it might need admin menu, but I might need that, or just a dev to work with me on it, is see like when on the sick riddle day, the anniversary day we did, that DW arranged, there was a riddle where it was like behind, where you can see the stars, and it was behind the Hollywood Boulevard.
Oil rig killed down by RP. Yeah, but didn't we have to work to get to oil rig? You know what I mean? There was an arc to get to there.
In this building,
the oil rig was the end goal, you know?
And you could collect
we had to grind and graft and work together. I say we, it wasn't me that much. It was more the other people, but you know, they had to grind and graft to get to the end goal.
And you would go up to here, and you'd press E, and you'd get like given a book. So like obviously as a dev, you need to put a little circle here that you run into, and you give like an E to interact. Which maybe that's on the admin menu, and I can do that myself. So it means no one needs to waste their time. So yeah, let me just do some. That'd be cool. That Riddle Master. But I need to read some. Also, do I make a new character? Do I need to get do I have to get an outfit made? Have I got a green suit that I can wear? They give you admin. I'm not asking for admin. I'm asking for a menu. Don't think Burns a menu. Don't think Burns admin. Sorry, is he? He just has a menu sometimes. And you can give maybe a limited menu.
Hmm.
Little baby menu, exactly. Only has like 2 features. Spawn placeable. Anything else?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just
all
tough.
menu. It's all locked. You know, you have to play it for X
It's
amount of hours
tough.
to get the unlocks.
It's tough. I don't know. It's just one of those things, chat. You know, it's just one of those things.